I want you to remember this because there will come a time where you look around you and ask yourself, what have I done to deserve all of these blessings? And when that time comes, I want you to remember there are universal laws that guide the human experience. Therefore, there are patterns and rhythms to what comes into our lives and the lessons that we are here to learn. What you put in, you get out. And you may ask yourself, why, when, how? I want you to remember as well that seeds are always planted in every moment, every waking moment the soul has through its human experience. So seeds are not always just planted in this lifetime, perhaps past lives as well. So when blessings begin to roll in, when abundance begins to roll in, and you start to look around you and wonder, asking how, when, why do I deserve this? Remember, everything is pattern. They're universal laws that guide us. You earned it. Let us dive right in. Starting off with the first pattern, I'm being taken to visuals clairvoyantly here. And two things are standing out to me. I see your life being split down in the middle. I'm also taken to a scale. So let's tie these in together and let's see how it will guide you. What I'm getting here is I'm speaking to someone who may have a life that starts off in one way and progresses in another way. You've been through a lot, haven't you? Things have not been easy. And I'm not talking to someone who has just had one or two experiences. I'm talking about a long time, a long term. For a very long time, I'm hearing the number 6. This could have been, when I say 6, I mean 6 years. Consecutively, year after year, challenge after challenge. I'm hearing 10 years for some of you, 16 years. A long while. For some of you, 4 years. The number 6 stands out to me. The number 4 stands out to me. The number 10 stands out to me as well. Age 16, age 6, age 4 perhaps. There's been a long, extensive period of your life that has been intense in some capacity. And for some of you, it could have been a particular area, maybe around domestic life, your home life, that would be your domestic. For some of you, it could be having parental things with certain caregivers, whether it be the paternal side, the maternal side. For some of you, this could have been in the career sector. Some of you could have been with friends, friendships. Others of you could have been in a romantic lens. And then there are those of you who have experienced it with your wellness, your health. Or perhaps there are others of you that have had it in all areas of your life. So, long period of time is what I'm getting here. But then I get a glimpse into this other side of the split that I'm seeing. And what I see there feels beautiful, light. I'm being taken to softer colors like a lavender. Beautiful, gentle, softer pastel colors. And this tells me there might be this beautiful shift. The soul, your soul, is here to experience. Now, I go into the visual of the scale, and I want you to pay very close attention, because I'm hearing that the message with this is going to need your attention very, very closely here. The analogy, I'm going to try to break it down. When I think of this scale, I look at your scale. One side is on the ground. The other is empty. And when I look at the side on the ground, I see a lot on it. Hence why it's on the ground. Because typically when we think of a scale, idealistically we want it to be balanced. Now let's pause there. When we think of balance, equilibrium, balance is life. Balance is health. Balance is wealth. Balance is peace. Balance is perfection. When you say, I want perfect health, I want perfect this, essentially what you're asking for, idealistically, really is balance. Because we know that there's always the other side. It's always going to be there. It's always going to exist, right? The shadow would always be there. Hence, when you think about, just look at our luminary system. We have the sun, the light, we have the moon. Everything has its rhythm as well. So when we think of balance, even the earth, Gaia, Mother Gaia, we have summer, we have winter, we have spring. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's not. Everything is balanced. We think of us humans and all of the other living organisms here, we all play a role to essentially maintain balance. When you even think of the concept of life, we come in, we do what we do, we live, other souls come in. It creates this cycle, this balance. When you think of your physical anatomy, your physical body, to be in beautiful health, perfect health, things have to be balanced. We're not completely removing the bad bacteria from your gut. We need a certain level of balance within your bacteria so that your body functions, your stomach, your gut health, correct? We need your hormones balanced. We need just enough estrogen, just enough progesterone, and all of those things. We need it balanced. We think of those adrenalines and those nerves, and you need to have just the right amount of fight or flight to know when to protect and move quickly. But you also need that calm, regulated side of your nerve, right? Those good nerves that help keep you calm and happy. Everything is balanced when you think about the patterns of life. Therefore, the scale being shown to me is supposed to be at some point balanced so that you as a person, you as a soul, can experience the joy, the blessing, the fruition, the happiness, and all of the amazing things that you deserve. But what I'm being taken to in your past and what you've been overcoming is the scale that on one side, it's on the ground. It's been heavy, a lot of burden. And that this tells me that there's been a lot of karmic burdens. And your soul came in to clear a lot this lifetime. Things that may not even have been your responsibility, quite frankly. I see an immaculate soul. I see a very brave soul who said, hey, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to do this for my lineage. I'm going to do this for those that are here now with me, those that have come before me, and those that will come after me. Immaculate. You're an immaculate soul, is what I'm hearing. Powerful. So there's all this burden that has been on the scale. It was just a contract that your soul said, hey, I'm going to sign this. I'm going to come in. But see, here's where things get interesting. When we get here, we forget. The soul knows, but when we come in as humans, we forget. And the journey is about remembering. And to remember, we have certain experiences. Because through those experiences, we're able to tackle those karmic burdens, clear them away, and alchemize them into what? You guessed it, wisdom. Guess what? Wisdom is lighter than the burden, the karmic pain, and the trauma. Wisdom is lighter. So with wisdom being lighter, it lifts the scale all the way up. It starts lifting that scale. Remember I said I get the image of the scale, one side being all the way to the ground and the other being empty. Everything is also about alignment. When one side of the scale is filled with so much karmic burdens and negative karmas and things that have to be worked through, the other side of the scale is empty. But as we unravel and we alchemize, we transmute and turn those things into wisdom, and the scale begins to rise and rise and rise, the energies that are aligned with wisdom begins to come in. And that's why we get the balanced scale. The other side of the scale is beginning to be filled in with things that are aligned, things that vibrate equally with the wisdom. That's why the scale comes into equilibrium. And that's why that split in your life, in your experience, goes from one experience moving into something else. There's a lot that you have cleared. What I sense here is being at the tail end of that journey, of that chapter. That's probably why you're here listening to this and why I was being given this download, divine download to share with you. You're probably at the tail end of a very long journey. And I want to applaud you because it's not just about facing these karmas and these things. We experience challenges in our life and they leave an imprint. The real healing happens, that full culmination happens, that completion happens when we're able to then find the lesson in the experiences we had. That's when that healing is fully complete. You can overcome this and you can overcome that and you can put an end to this. But when you gain the wisdom, that's when you actually turn that anger into forgiveness. That is when you turn that paranoia into discernment. That is when you turn that defensiveness into healthy boundaries. Because you need sometimes to be in defense mode to protect. Sometimes you need that armor. But after you come out of battle, when you sit with yourself and say, you know what? I don't need to carry the armor anymore. I understand what happened. I understand why this had to happen. It helped me, and inevitably it helped the other person or the other parties involved. Whether they see that or not, that's not my place. I focus on what I've learned. And you turn that into wisdom. That's when the healing completes. You're able to now move forward weightless. Your energy is lighter. You know why? That armor has come off, that defense. Now you move with forgiveness. You move with wisdom. You move with discernment. That is why that side of the scale is no longer on the ground. It's been lifted. And because we talk about patterns here, and we talk about the universal laws, when you are vibrating with these energies, discernment, healthy boundaries, healthy sense of self-worth, calmness, peace, all of these beautiful things, it attracts a certain level of experiences in your life. New things begin to come in. And on the other side of the scale is where you see that. Remember, that side was empty because initially in the other chapter, in the other era that split, the earlier, one was empty, the other was all the way on the ground. Heavy burdens you had to carry. Now that you've turned and you've been transmuting and alchemizing and you've changed, you've evolved, that scale has shifted. And what you see on the other side, on the other split of your life, is a direct reward of what you have alchemized. We don't make the rules. These are universal laws, patterns. With that being said, I want to remind you that there might also come a time, like I said in the intro, where you start to look at your life, because then you cross that threshold into a new life, as it may seem to you. And because we're humans, we may begin to feel, whoa, this is too good to be true. What did I do to deserve this? Where did this come from? Am I safe to receive? Oh my gosh, what's happening here? I want you to look at the other side of the scale. If you need a reminder, come back to this video. Look at the other side of the scale, because the other side of the scale is always going to be your reminder that you earned every bit of this goodness and blessings that have come and will come and continue to come into your life. May the wisdom remind you of all of the greatness that you are. May the wisdom you gained remind you that you are worth all of the blessings that you're receiving. Just in case imposter syndrome creeps up at any time. And now I'm being taken to an astrological pattern here. Numerology as well. Some of you may be seeing the number 4, the number 6, the number 10. I will tie that into the astrology pattern I'm getting here. The number 4 in astrology represents the 4th house. When we're born, we have a date, time, location. Remember, everything is patterns. So if we came into this earth at a specific time, in a specific location, on a specific day, best believe it's intentional. And voila, we have the birth chart. There are 12 houses, and each house represents an aspect, an area of our life. House 4 is the house of your roots, your home life, your emotional core, the house of the mother, we say. And that is where you come from. That is the legacy you were born into. That's why that house also represents ancestral things, the core things, your roots, the soil. When we look at what sits across the 4th house is the 10th house, because when you look into your chart, house 1 sits across house 7, 2 sits across 8, 3, 9, 4, 10. If the 4th house is your roots and your core, therefore, house 10 becomes the fruits, the fruition. It also becomes the legacy that you build, because house 4 is a legacy you were born into. How do you extend that legacy? How do you create a new legacy? How do you expand or change that legacy? We can see that in house 10. So I'm being taken to that. Some of you may have placements there. You may have a lot of planets there. You may have a lot of planets like the moon, the sun. Look into your chart if you can. You may have placements in the 4th or the 10th, or if not, you may have aspects to it. Moon may be sextiling, squaring, opposing your 10th house. And like I said, the 4th we see as the core, your mother, the maternal. The 10th, at least in the Western, is referred to as the father, the house of the father, even though I know in Vedic, the 9th is also seen as the father as well. So there could have been certain dynamics with not just your caregivers in terms of your paternal and your maternal, things that you had to heal, but also things around legacy. I'm speaking to someone who is shifting legacy here, building legacy, changing legacy, just in case you didn't know. Some real powerful stuff you've been doing. And when I think of the other number, I talked about house 4, house 10, but there's that other number, 6. The 6th house in astrology is where we see karmic debts. It is a house of challenges, overcoming challenges, building resilience. Some would say the house of enemies. The 6th house also is a house of patterns as well, because when you think of the 6th house, it's routines, the things you do, the seeds you plant daily that determines your health. That's why the 6th house represents health and wellness, service as well. How you serve, day-to-day, the things you do. With the 6th house coming through here, some of you could also have 6th house placements, and you've had to experience some challenges along the way, transmuting karma, building strength, creating new patterns, building new legacies, and they haven't been easy. The 6th house is also the battlefield. You've done a lot, and you can look into your different charts. I'm going to highlight 4 charts here, 2 under the Western, the tropical, and the other 2 under the Vedic. For the Western, your basic tropical chart, all right? You can look into those houses, see what's going on there, get your patterns there. You could also look at, again, this is under tropical Western, your 9th harmonic chart, number 9, TH, 9th harmonic chart, because that is the chart of fruition. When we think of your birth chart, that is that seed. The fruits of your birth chart shows up in the Western in your harmonic chart. But when we think of a seed, in that seed, from that seed is what essentially grows the tree, the flowers, the branches, the fruits from that seed. So your harmonic chart doesn't just start later in life. It is there from the very beginning. It's activated. It's in that seed already. That fruit, those flowers, all of those things are in that one seed. I want you to think of the chart in that way. Going back to the analogy from earlier of your life being split, hence your basic chart and your harmonic chart. The harmonic chart we say is your later life chart, and it's still from the birth chart that everything is birthed from. Now in Vedic, you're going to look at your birth chart called the D1, D for doll, D1 Rashi chart. Look into those houses, 4, 10, 6. The fruition chart is the D9 Navamsha chart. Look into those houses. Look at your patterns. Get to know yourself. Get to know your soul. You are powerful. You are incredibly immaculate. Remember, everything is patterns. So when these beautiful things begin to come in, remember all we've talked about, what you've gone through, what your soul has been doing from the very beginning. You earned every bit of the greatness, the blessings, and the happiness. I hope this brought you clarity, guidance. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.